Yeah, throughout my career, I've seen companies get deeper in with government to build regulations, to eliminate competition, to even get to the point now where we've got loan guarantees. How would you begin to address that issue within the business community?
Well, you got to stop. But look, the fundamental is government. This is how I view it. And the example to keep in mind is Microsoft. Microsoft's a great example in this, right? Before the Justice Department went after Microsoft, how many dollars did Microsoft spend on lobbying? Exactly zero. Indeed, Orrin Hatch, good Republican senator, in the early 90s brought Microsoft before a Senate hearing and lambasted them for not lobbying and not having a much bigger presence in Washington, D.C. They had a regional headquarters out in Maryland. Guess what happened after the Justice Department went after them? They started lobbying. Today they spend tens of millions of dollars on lobbying. They have a huge building inside the Beltway that's a Microsoft building. They're like this with government. That's an act of self-defense. And once you do it to defend yourself, then you start manipulating. Oh, Google's the bad guy. Oh, those guys are the bad guy. So how do you deal with it? Well, from a political perspective, I think Republicans should say, I mean, this is a platform that I think wins in the populace. It'll piss off businessmen, but I think the population would like it. I would launch a campaign to eliminate all, before you do welfare, before you do entitlements, before you do any of that. You know, become the party of the poor, right? So go after business. How do you go after business? All business subsidies should be zero. Eliminate all, that should be on the platform of the Republican Party or on the next presidential nominee. All business subsidies are gone. I'm going to zero them out for everything. From oil and gas to alternative to farming to everything. No business in the United States will get a dime from government as a subsidy. At the same time, I'm going to lower corporate income taxes to zero, because the only people who pay corporate income taxes are the consumers of the product, because it flows through. You know, there is no such thing as a corporation. It's just individuals, and it's a legal contract. That's all it is. And I commit to eliminating massive amounts of regulation. If you do those three things, you take away the incentive of business to lobby, because they're not going to get any favors. You take away all the loopholes, because they're paying no taxes. There are no loopholes. That should be the first thing any Republican administration does in office. Then you build legitimacy to do entitlements, to do all the rest. But first, let's get rid of this cronyism. And the way to do it is for the government to step out of the way. So, and American people would rally around that. That's like a contract for America kind of thing. I mean, that's exciting. That's interesting. You know, and who's against cutting all subsidies to business? Well, a lot of people. But that's who you have to fight. And you have to make the intellectual argument why business is better off. And they know it. The business knows it. Why we're better off with competition, with real competition. We're better off with businessmen without the regulations and whether, and without spending. How many accountants do all of you guys employ to figure out how to pay less taxes? Think of the money Apple would bring back into the United States if it knew it wouldn't have to pay taxes on that money. Oh, and all American business. Think of the creativity, the building that would happen if you eliminated the corporate income tax, but at the same time eliminated all these stupid subsidies. I mean, I think there's $300 billion that would just go like that. I'm talking about deficit reduction or whatever. That's the kind of stuff that you would need to do to get rid of cronyism. Otherwise, it's only going to fester. And indeed, anytime you do campaign finance reform and all this stuff, it just gets worse. It just gets worse. That's not the solution.